Hey, Restore Hearts family. This is the voice of your host and producer, Tiara Sharma. I hope that you are enjoying our new series. If you have been joining us, then you know that last week we started a new series called How to Navigate the Social Emotional Component as we Parent Our Children. And we have a guest educator who is teaching us on this subject, Shameka C. Brown. And she is an excellent educator. I hope that you have enjoyed what she has given us so far. I want to just do a little recap of what she talked about last week. She talked about behavior has meaning. That was episode 1, and we wanted to talk about understanding behaviors. And so she told us that definition of what is behavior. So behavior is what a person does or how they act in response to different situations or circumstances. It can be influenced by genetics, environment, and personal experiences. And one of the other things that she talked about that I liked was actions or words that our children are trying to express because they cannot say how they're feeling, so they're showing us. That is so important because I can't tell you how many times I have been so frustrated and let my emotions get out of control because I just wanted my children to be able to tell me what was going on with their words, not understanding that they needed that space and that time to grow and to learn because I'm just now learning and growing as an adult. So as I'm doing my own work, now that helps me to understand that, hey, I can't expect my children to know what to do right now because they're still learning. And so I know that that might sound like common sense to some of you who may be listening, but when we're in the heat of the moment and these things are happening with our children, the emotions are high, then sometimes all of that goes out of the window. So this is a no judgment zone, but that just stuck out to me. Another thing that Shameka talked about in episode 1 was transitions. Oh my God, I thought this was so important. She talked about transitions, and transitions is when you're moving from one activity or one location to another. And she talked about how this can be a trigger for some children, and particularly those children with sensory sensitivities or difficulties with transitions. So that was very important for me because I do notice in my own children that those transitions can be very triggering for my children. So one of the things that I do personally is I let them know anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes before we're getting ready to transition and move to another thing. So let's say like we're at the playground and I'll let them know, hey, we got 10 more minutes, we have 5 more minutes, or we have 20 minutes. I usually don't give them like a small number like 2 minutes because I've just noticed with my children that if I give them like a 10-minute warning and then just kind of count down like a 5-minute warning, hey, we have 2 minutes, then that works better for my children when we're having to transition from one thing to another. That can be a challenging time, I know, for mothers and fathers. I've seen people, even myself, I had to drag my child off of the playground before, but that's because I didn't understand that, hey, moving from one place to another can be triggering for a child. And so I just appreciate so much Shameka bringing that up about transitions. I hope that you had the opportunity to go to the 5 Love Languages website. We gave that website in the first episode. It was www.5lovelanguages.com/quizzes /love-language, and we recommended that you take that quiz for yourself, for your children, for your loved ones. You know, we're talking about our children now, but we definitely want to know the love languages of ourselves and our children because that's going to help us learn how to navigate this social emotional component and just tie everything together. The next voice that you're going to hear will be the voice of Shameka C. Brown. She is going to be continuing this series. On episode 2 today, we're going to jump into more details about the love languages. So this will be Love Languages Part 1, and we're going to be using the 5 love languages to connect social emotional component of raising our children. So let us know how this episode has improved your relationship with your children, how it's helped you understand how you receive love and how your children receive love, and how you've been able to connect the two and just start to build a better foundation and build that better intimacy and quality of relationship that we all desire with our children. So enjoy.
Hello, welcome again. So happy to be with you again this week as we continue our conversation about understanding behaviors. But today we're going to talk about using the five love languages to connect the social emotional component, which ties into understanding the behaviors. So I am your speaker presenter today, Shameka C. Brown from SCB Education Consultant, and I'm so excited to talk about this with you this afternoon. Please let us know where you're coming in from. Let us know the tips and strategies that stick out to you as we talk more and more. So, thank you for joining and listening. So, today we're going to talk about understanding social emotional learning. What is social emotional learning? Social emotional learning promotes activities that develops children's ability to recognize and manage emotions, build relationships, solve interpersonal problems, and make effective and ethical decisions. Wow, that's a lot, right? So, understanding their social emotional learning helps them to navigate throughout life, to interact, to connect, to build upon, to solve problems, and make decisions as they get older. How important is that? So, understanding your child's individual love language is key to promoting their positive behavior and health development. And so, thinking about that, going back to what the social emotional part talks about, that making sure that interpersonal problems, managing the emotions, recognizing the emotions, building relationships, making effective and ethical decisions all ties into how we teach them. When we learn our children's love language, we're able to promote those positive behaviors that help enhance and produce the healthy development. So, one important thing I always say as a parent, as an educator, if you're a grandma, foster parent, adopted parent, it is very important that we fill the emotional bucket. Our emotions, how we act, how we respond, navigate throughout our day on our jobs and relationships as we become adults. We cannot always just lead with our emotions, but in order for us to be effective and successful, we have to be able to manage our emotions. And what better way to start that process with our young people? Starting young to build up on to make sure that they're able to navigate through society, through relationships, make those decisions. That's very important. That's key. So, filling the emotional bucket talks about understanding your love language and how it connects social emotional. We must trust and feel accepted before we can interact and connect with anybody. Therefore, the first step to truly having a meaningful relationship is learning how to fill your emotional tank. Last time I asked you to go to the website and try to figure out your love language and your children or someone that's important to you that you want to make sure that you're building upon. So, my love language, the top one is acts of service, then words of affirmation, and then the other one is quality time. What is yours? Put it in the chat box on the tube or put it in the comments for someone to view. What did you learn last week about yourself? Understanding and learning your love language does not mean that you will not have different emotions. However, it does mean that you will know how you like to be led, and that brings security and hope because love is the foundation. So you're also knowing what you like, but you're knowing what your child likes and connecting those pieces to make sure that love is the foundation of the interaction that you have with your child, with your significant other, anybody else that you come in contact with. It brings that security and hope to know that we can build, or we can connect, we can engage and have a relationship, but also be able to connect and talk on a level that is appropriate to meet the needs of each person. When you think about what comes to mind, first thing we think about is physical touch. A child whose love language is physical touch wants to be comforted, wants to be hugged, wants to be held. Unconditional love is a guiding light, illuminating the darkness, enabling us to know who we are and what we need. That is key. We have to know who we are and what we need in order for us to interact with others and truly be parents, be educators, be leaders to interact with people. We have to know and balance all those things to be effective in those relationships. The five love languages: physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. And mind you, you can have one that is stronger, but you can have a lot of these pieces already to connecting as well. Again, there's that link to the love languages, www.5lovelanguages.com/quiz/love languages. If you have not taken it, I encourage you after watching this episode to try it and see what you get. Each love language represents a way that children feel loved and valued by their parents and can have a significant impact on their environment. Let's talk about that for a moment. So, can you imagine each love language that you see, that you feel, that you share is connected? It's tied to something, and there's a way to work through it. It's important and it's hard work, right? I'm not telling you, oh, it's going to be easy overnight. I'm not telling you you're going to be able to just go through the flow and do whatever. It is a process. But when you come to the realization and when you see for yourself that your relationship is important with your family, with your child, with helping them develop, it's caused a little bit of sacrifices that help build and connect and have those difficult conversations. But the key to it all, it builds a great relationship with your child and it helps you to know the best way to parent, the best way to connect. How many times do we say, oh, I just don't get it. I just can't help them. And we want to go to experts to tell us what to do and how to deal with it. But sometimes our children are the best experts. Have conversations with them. Talk about their needs. Talk about what's going on. Ask them how was their day. Those are big things for them. And that's the way to connect. Think about your significant other or whoever you're dating. How did you meet them? Did you just go up to them and start talking? No, you created a relationship with them, right? You spent time with them. You learned about. Them. You got an opportunity to engage with. It wasn't just that, oh, hey, I like you, let's hang out, and that's it. You had to learn each other. As parents and as adults, our children have to learn us. Our children have to know who we are, what we do, why we do it. And I used to say, oh my goodness, she's saying that we have to just let our children take control. No, what I'm saying is each moment you have with your child is a teachable moment. Parenting is a journey. We're going to learn some things. We're going to go through some things. But the key to it all is helping our children become successful to deal and navigate in the world we live in. How many of us can say this world is tough, right? But the key to it all is showing up, is engaging, is having conversations, is teaching them the best way from what they know and what their love language is so that we can show up and be who they need us to be. That's the key. So each love language represents a way the child wants to be loved and valued and have a significant impact on the behavior that we see. Physical touch. People with physical touch as their love language feel love when they receive physical signs of affection. So touch can be an incredibly affirming and serve as a powerful emotional connector for people with this love language. So when you giving those hugs, when you are sitting with them, it's a big part. Roots go back to our childhood, talking about some people only felt deep connections and love by their parents when they were held, hugged, kissed, or touched. How many of you that's your love language? That's how you connect. That's a big component. Hugs and kisses are the most common way speaking their love language. But there are other ways too. A dad can toss his son in the air to play with him. He spins his 7-year-old daughter around and around, and she laughs wildly. A mom reads a book to her 3-year-old child in her lap. So again, different ages require different ways to connect and show their love. And that's okay. It's just making sure you find the best appropriate one for the age that they are. Is the key. There will be a handout that will be uploaded. We'll find a way to get it to you. I'll to talk about some of those examples of physical touch. Words of affirmation, another big one. Words are powerful in communicating love. Words are powerful. Words of affection, endearment, words of praise and encouragement, words that give positive guidance all the way says, I care about you. I am listening to you. I am here for you. How many of us like when someone tells us that we're beautiful? Oh, I love those earrings you have on. Oh, I love that smile that you have. The same way we like those words of affirmations are the same way our children need those words of affirmation. A child whose love language is words of affirmation crave verbal praise and positive feedback. They want to know what you think. They want to know what you love. They want to know what excites you. They want to hear some positive things. Oh, I like how you put the chair up to the table. I I like how you are using your words to tell me what you need. Those are positive ways to affirm and give feedback that is positive in the moment. That's big. Words are like a gentle, warm raining falling on the soul. They nurture the inner sense of worth and security. Even though such words are quickly said, they are not forgotten. We reap the benefits of affirming words for a lifetime. You're amazing. You're magnificent. You're awesome. You're beautiful. You're clever. You're cute. You're remarkable. You're gorgeous. We're building up a bank of words to build our children up to know that no matter what you do, mom, dad, grandma, my family loves me because they always speak those positive things to me. How many of us do that? How many of us take time to truly speak positive words of affirmation? If not, it's not too late. You can start today. Affirmations. People with words of affirmations will value the acknowledgement and including the frequent I love you compliments, words of appreciation, verbal encouragement, and other freaking digital communication, texting and social media engagement. How many of us like when we get that nice text from our friends say, hey, I missed you. I saw you. I love you. I'm thinking about you. Same way with your teenagers. Same way with your adult children. Every child needs to be feel love from their parent in some kind of way, no matter how old they are. It is important because you want the words of praise to be genuinely meaningful to your child. Don't just do it just to say I did it. You need to be careful about what you say. If you use praise too frequently, your words will have little positive effect. So don't say you are a good girl all the time. Those are wonderful words, but you need to be wise in using it. It is more effective to say it when the child has done something for which she feels good or he feels good and would expect a compliment. That's the key. Don't just shut them out, but be intentional about when and what time those praises go for. Quality time. It is your undivided attention. The phone's down, cut the TV off, engage in quality time. It is key. It is helpful. It is loving. You got it. You decide. You put time out. You schedule it. You can say, oh, I'm so busy. Take 30 minutes out of your work week and find time for your child, for your family, for your loved one. See how much the morale and the hope and the enjoyment in your house begin when you're able to sit and have a talk. It is a gift of presence to the child. It lets them know, hey, even though you may be small, you're still important to me. I love being with you. Children want to be important. They want to feel important. They want to be seen. It does not mean going somewhere all the time. It means knowing your child better. Yes, it's nice to go to Disney World and to Six Flags and to Sky Zone, but quality time is just doing something where it's you and that person engaging and interacting. Gifts. How many of us love gifts? But how about the ones that have a true meaning behind it? Not just because it's fancy, but it has a symbol of love. It shows that you thought about something. And that time you're giving it makes a difference. And then it goes a long way because it becomes a keepsake. It's meaningful. It's a meaning behind it. And that's what children want sometimes. Meaning behind why you're giving me something. Not just because. Just because they're right, okay. But when they're meaningful, just because, it makes a difference. Acts of service. Some people speak acts of services as their primary love language. So if service is your child primary love language, it is important to communicate deeply your love for Johnny or Julie. When the child asks you to fix a bike or mend a doll or a dress, he or she does not really want you to get the task done. You could see them crying, but they're crying because they want you to do it. They want you to complete it. But they're crying and telling you, hey, this is important to me. If you fix this, you are super mom, you're a super dad, you're a super grandma. I want you to fix my problems. Not later, right now, in a moment. Acts of service, right then and there. By helping others, we help ourselves. By helping our children, we help ourselves. By we teach our children, we're teaching them to be successful in the world. We serve our children, but as they are ready, we teach them how to serve themselves and others. There is a process. I'm like, oh my goodness, no, I had a kid so they can do everything I want them to do. No, they can't do it if we don't teach it. They can't ride a bike if we don't teach it. They can't use a fork if we don't teach it. So we're teaching, which is serving. And when they learn it, they're able to help us when we need help and help those that are around them become good citizens of our world to be able to function. And I know you say, Shameka, what does all this have to do with understanding behaviors? Those strategies for understanding your love language help decrease the amount of behaviors that you see. And a few things we're going to talk about, and then we'll do the rest next week because there's some good conversation and there's some good tips. But going back to what we talked about last week, observe their behavior. Watch how your child express love and affection towards others. Last week we talked about observe what they're doing to know what their behaviors are and what the triggers are. This week we're saying watch to see how they express themselves, express love and affection towards others. Do they often give hugs to other people or physical touch? Do they prefer to express love through words of affirmation or acts of service? This can give you a clue about their preferred language. Observation is the key, a big piece of the puzzle. Pay attention to their preferences and notice the things that your child enjoys the most. Do they light up when you spend quality time with them? Is it exciting? Does it make a difference? Does it lighten their world up? Quality time? This can help you identify their level. Ask them at some point, they're going to get older. Ask them, depending on the age, you can simply ask them what makes them feel loved and valued. And you will be surprised that guess what? They really are actively listening to you when you ask a question. They're really following along. They're literally wanting to have that quality conversation with you to understand what you're asking me. You really want to know what I feel. Remember, when you're having these conversations, we are not teaching them to be a replica. Rather, we're teaching them to develop their own skills to navigate, to become who they're supposed to be. We want them to follow their own interests, but as a parent, our purpose is to do what is best for our children. But how do we do what's best? By learning from them. So we're going to stop and we're going to think about this question. I know I said a lot and we only got through the first two, but I challenge you to observe your child's behavior this week. Pay attention to their preferences and ask them the question. Because guess what? I always say, this is the slogan that I live by, and I want to share it with you as we end our time for today. Parenting is a journey. Each road is different, but you can, and you have all the tools you need. It just takes some connecting and loving. It's learning those love languages and understanding. As a parent, our big purpose is to do what's best for our children to help them become and able to navigate through the world we're living in. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching this episode of Store Heart TD.
Life is a journey, and there are many moments. Some moments are smooth. You go through this when life's challenges interrupt your momentum. Yet you find the strength to get back on track, to keep moving. So even if you have to crawl to make it there, do it, because victory belongs to you. You are equipped to handle every part of the journey. You were created to overcome this. Don't give up. I love you.